So if you spend a lot of time traveling and camping, especially boondogg, you may need or at least want some supplemental heat for cool or downright cold weather. Last spring I made a video titled Don't Buy This Heater, and the gist of it was why I don't recommend the Mr. Heater Little Buddy propane heater. Now, some people really like that heater, and that's fine. It may work well for some people, and I kind of highlighted that video the reasons it doesn't work for me. And I have seen a couple videos since then that dive into some alternative ways you can use that heater, some to run it on bulk propane or whatever, and some of those things might help, but I still just don't think it's the best option for you know, the kind of stuff I do. And for about $10 more, I can buy a different heater that does work a lot better. So I'm going to do that instead of getting into modifications. But this last winter, I've used two different heaters, and I thought I'd share my experience with them and a quick review on them. Those heaters are the Mr. Heater Portable Buddy and the Camco Olympian Wave 3. Before we dive into that though, a couple quick notes. Only use propane heaters designated as indoor safe inside of any building or vehicle. That's just, these are catalytic or catalytic type heaters that are designed to not emit carbon monoxide as they burn, and they're designed to not need to be vented. Other systems need to be vented, and then they need to be properly installed. But for these heaters, you're going to turn them on and use them with some basic precautions. And speaking of precautions, it's always important to follow all installation and operation instructions for any kind of heater or fossil fuel burning device, like stoves, heaters, whatever. And finally, real quickly, always pay real close attention to the clearance and ventilation requirements with these heaters. They do require a certain amount of room around the heater, to the sides and in front and above and behind and that kind of thing, to operate safely, because they are hot enough they can catch things on fire. Also, the ventilation, you don't want to run out low on oxygen, or if something's not working right, you know, you don't want to take a chance on some dangerous levels of toxic gases building up in your rig. So there are very specific guidelines for how far you need for clearances and how much ventilation you need. And it's usually not a whole lot, and as long as your heater is adequately sized, you're going to more than make up for the ventilation thing. So the fact that you have to leave a couple windows cracked or a vent cracked open isn't really a problem. Alright, so first up in this video, let's talk about this guy. This is the Mr. Heater Portable Buddy. This runs from, you can get this thing for about $72 right now on Amazon. So I'll throw a link in the description for you if you want to check that out. You can also get it from Walmart or Tractor Supply, and it's usually going to be around $70 or $80. This particular heater puts out 4,000 BTUs on low and 8,000 BTUs on high. So compared to the little buddy, it puts out 3,800 maximum, only one temperature. This heater is going to put out just a little bit more heat on low than the little buddy puts out, and on high it's going to put out more than double. So actually on high, it'll roast you out of a van in all but the coldest winter weather. And this heater is rated to heat up to 200 square feet, so more than enough for your typical van or small RV. This heater is designed to work with a 1 pound propane cylinder, which goes on the side there. You can get those for, the best I've found them at is like Walmart. They usually get about $3.50 a piece when you can find them, which in day and age of COVID is a big question mark, right? I've been having a hard time finding propane. Or butane's a lost cause basically, but so you'll get around 3 to 5 or maybe 3 to 6 hours out of this thing running on one of those 1 pound green bottle propane cylinders, depending on whether it's on low or high. But what you can do is you can connect these to a bulk tank, like a 20 pound cylinder or one of the smaller 10 pound ones. And you just need a hose, and you do really need to use a filter with these, which is available from Mr. Heater. And the filters are like, I think $10 or $15 when you can find them. The hoses are around 20 or so when you can find them. You may be able to have a hose made up somewhere, but the quality of the hose matters, and the cheaper hoses are more likely to foul up your heater if you don't use the filter. So you may have to order them online or hunt around to find them these days, but normally they're readily available, and you know, it's a fairly inexpensive modification that really lets you run the heater for a whole lot less money, because bulk propane is so much less expensive. So the Mr. Heater Portable Buddy here is probably the most popular option for supplemental heat amongst van dwellers, in my experience for sure. It's also fairly popular with people with small RVs, but some of them use a different heater we're going to talk about in a minute. And I do want to mention with these two that it's important, no matter which one you're using, the Mr. Heater or the Camco Wave series, you keep them covered when not in use. That keeps them from getting dusty, and that will cause them to fail prematurely. So these Mr. Heater ones, unfortunately, they do kind of have a reputation of failing after a while. You know, not uncommon for them to fail after a year or a year and a half, something like that. In my experience, a lot of people I've talked to, and so they don't last quite as long as you might like, but they're not terribly expensive and they're readily available. So, you know, but like I said, keeping them covered does help with lifespan. There are a few alternatives for to this particular model. If you want the smaller one, the little buddy, that's like that's about $10 cheaper, so you're going to pay around $60 or $70 for that probably. That puts out 3,800 BTU. Mr. Heater also makes a big buddy that uses two 1-pound cylinders or connects to a bulk tank, and that's going to put out anywhere from 4,000 to 18,000 BTUs, and that one's got a retail price of a little under $200. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is behind mystery door number 2? Well, we have a Camco Olympian Wave 3 catalytic heater. Okay, so the Olympian Wave 3s, I'm going to take this cover off so you can see it a little better. They have a very good reputation. They have a reputation of being reliable and solid and good performing heaters. They're more expensive than the Mr. Heater Portable Buddy line, but they're good heaters. One thing with these is that they're designed to be mounted either on, you can either put them on the floor, it's a standalone, or you can mount them to a wall. And because you can mount it to a wall, that also means, like in this case, you can mount it on a telescoping or an adjustable arm like you use for a TV or a computer monitor, which is really cool. It gives you more options for where to put it, and it's nice and stable. So you do have to run them on a bulk propane tank. You can connect them into your main RV system if you're in an RV or something. You want to do that as well. But these work well. This one is a Wave 3. That means it puts out a maximum of 3,000 BTUs on high. On low, it'll put out 1,600 BTUs, and it's sometimes nice because with one of the challenges with the Mr. Heater line is they put out 3,800 BTU minimum on the little one, 4,000 BTU minimum on the portable one, and that's often too much in a van or a small RV. When the weather's mild, you want to take the edge off. So having the option here to turn this one on low at 1,600 BTU is really nice. It does at 3,000 BTU. This may be a little small for some people, depending on where you're at in terms of climate, how cold it gets, and how well insulated your rig is, and how large your rig is, and how warm you like it. I actually brought this to New York with me when I was out with my grandfather there in December, and it worked, but it was a little underpowered for the amount of insulation we have in that cargo van and the size of that van and the temperatures down into the teens or sometimes single digits. It just didn't really keep up. I mean, it worked. It was a whole lot better than outside, but the larger heater, more powerful output heater would have been more appropriate in that situation. This works really well for Deborah, though, and I'll let her tell you about her experiences with it.
Hi everyone. Well, Robert was right. I love my Wave 3. It gives a nice steady heat, but sometimes I got to tell you, like he said, it's just not powerful enough. I was enjoying my buddy heater when it was real cold, but as you can tell today, it is warm, and the heaters really aren't on the subject, but I am glad that I have mine accessible and ready to go. I think I've had the small buddy, I've had the Mr. Buddy heater, and now this one, and for me, I would go with the Wave 3 every time, although with this big RV, I might need a Wave 6. We'll see. Okay, so that's the Camco Olympian Wave 3. That's running right now, as of the time I'm recording this video in February 2021, $335 on Amazon. I'm sure that price will change over time. And like I said, that thing's going to put out 1,600 BTUs on low and 3,000 BTUs on high. So if you got a bigger vehicle or you're in really cold climates, that's probably not going to cut it for you, that particular model. But if you got a smaller vehicle and you're in moderate climates, that may be very nice and exactly what we need, and they do have a good reputation for reliability. The Wave 3 is rated to heat from 100 to 130 square feet, depending which report or review you read on it. And it does need to be connected to a bulk propane tank
or to your system, your RV propane system. You can't just put a green bottle on it. But they do have a reputation to last a long time. You can send it back for service if necessary, if they quit working. Alternatives to the Wave 3 include the Olympian Wave 6, which is listed for $455 right now, and the Olympian Wave 8, which is 8,000 BTU. It's 3,000, 6,000, and 8,000 BTU, and the Wave 8 is listed at $785. So they're really good heaters, but you can see why a lot of people just go with the less expensive Mr. Heater line because of cost. All right, some people don't need to worry about this stuff. You know, maybe they're in RVs, and they're staying in RV parks a lot, or campgrounds. They can plug in, they can run their onboard propane furnace or electric heaters or whatever, and that's okay. But if you're like what I do, if you're boondocking, I like to do a lot of photo and video trips where I'm going out into nature in the backcountry where nobody's around and there are no plug-ins, and it's really important to conserve electricity and to but sometimes I need heat still because it's cool or even downright cold. So these kind of systems, these catalytic heaters work for me because they don't require electricity, so I don't need to run a fan or a fuel pump or anything like that. You just connect them to propane and they go, and they can help me stay comfortable so I can do what I need to do while I'm out in the backcountry. So if you have that kind of similar needs, these are maybe a few options you might want to look at. So like I said, if you want to check out a video on the Mr. Heater Little Buddy, you can see why I didn't like it, but it might work for you still. But for an extra $10 or so, I'm just going to go with a portable Buddy if I'm inclined to go with the Mr. Heater line, or maybe the Camco Wave series if you got the budget for it and you want to do a slightly higher quality heater from the get-go. All right, so hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them there for you. And I'll have links to these also in the video description if you want to check them out or learn more about them. So thanks for joining this video, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one. We'll get our little curtain out of the way here now.